Sairam, everybody. It is nice to have you all for a session of discussion and deliberation on one of the most important, relevant, interesting, and a subject which is very dear to our heart. Since we all are Shirdi Sai Baba Bhakts, the subject today we are discussing and deliberating is Shri Sai Satcharithra. This is the Sai Satcharithra we are referring to. We are not referring to anything which is published by any other author or the Bhashya. Bhashya is basically a commentary, an exercise to give the commentary on any subject. Like Bhagavad Gita has Bhashyas. Tilak's is one of the most relevant and most important Bhashyas. But we are not talking about any other, Satcharitra, besides the one which is published by the Shri Shirdi Sai Sansthan, authored by Shri Shirdi Sainath Maharaj himself, through his instrument or through his pen called Shri Govind Raghunatha Dhapodkar. Right? And today is the first day in our journey towards deciphering and understanding Shri Sai Satcharitra. Before we start reading the Sai Satcharitra, let us understand what is Sai Satcharitra. Shri Sai Satcharitra is a compilation of all the stories, miracles, and teachings of Shri Shirdi Sainath Maharaj. This beautiful little work is the only work which we can say is given to his devotees and disciples for generations to come. ये उनके समय जो उनके साथ थे उनको तो जरूरत नहीं थी. People who were with him, they did not need this because they were experiencing the presence of the Divine Master all through. But this work is something which he has made it for the posterity, for generations to come. So we need to understand that Lord was very clear. Our Master in Shirdi was very clear before he shed the body that shedding the body is the beginning of his doctrine and gospel. It was not the end. It was the beginning. So there has to be an experience. We all are devotees and disciples of Baba. We all experience His presence in our lives day in and day out. But what all transpired in Shirdi, what all happened during Baba's days in the body, now also He is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. He is everywhere. He is with us. He is within us. But He is not in the body. But whatever happened during His time in the body had to be compiled and presented and documented for the world and the generations to come. So, it is a present continuous thing. Baba came, He stayed, and He continues to be there. And His stories and teachings are our guiding light. So the purpose of Shri Sai Satcharitra The mind of the Divine Master is that he always knew my children, my devotees, my disciples will consistently increase in numbers as the years pass. So that was the need for Sai Satcharithra. Now, what is it written in Sai Satcharithra? What is the content of Sai Satcharithra? This is a very small book compared to so many other literatures and religious scriptures and whatever. But as we dive deep into this small book, you will realize, we will all realize, the meaning and the teachings and the guidances which we seek for in all religious scriptures put together is condensed and is said and written in a small story type. Experiences of devotees, teachings of Baba. Everything is just said in a very, very condensed manner, in a very native, rustic, something which can be understood by the common man. People who we all are here, we are very innocent and simple people. We are not the ones who are like, jnanis and who have mastery in Vedas and Upanishads and things like that. No. But सारे वेदों का ज्ञान और सारांश, every single religious scriptures, teachings and ways are in this Shri Sai Satcharitra. A very simple book. Now, the purpose of Sai Satcharitra is understood. Now, what are we trying to do? We are trying to get into Sai Satcharitra. Most of the Sai devotees read Satcharitra. They just read it. We have to do a Parayan in 1 week. You start on Thursday, complete it by next Wednesday. Whatever you wish for will be fulfilled. Good for us if it happens. Yes, it does happen. Doesn't happen. That is besides the point. What we are trying to do now is not just to read Sai Satcharitra, we are trying to understand Sai Satcharitra. There is a difference. हम लोग पढ़ लेते हैं, लेकिन समझने में और पढ़ने में बहुत अंतर होता है. To know and to understand, there is a lot of difference. As we keep going forward, we will realize what it is and how it is going. Now, Shri Sai Satcharitra, which is written in Marathi by Shri Govinda Raghunath Thakurkar, has been translated into English by Shri Gunaji, Shri M.V. Gunaji. He was a very eminent scholar. We are referring to the English version of Shri Sai Satcharitra. First thing that when we start reading Satcharitra, first thing what we get to know, or first thing what comes to us, is a dedication. We are starting in the name of Lord, about Satcharitra. The dedication says that whosoever offers to me with love or devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, that offering of love of the pure and self-controlled man is willingly and readily accepted by me, Lord Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 26. What it goes on to say, what it tries to say, in this shloka, what is Lord saying? It doesn't matter what you give me. I don't need anything from you. You can't give me anything. I have created you. I own. I am one with you. You're one with me. What is it that you can give me? Whatever you can give me or offer me is two things. What he says is love and devotion. That's what he is trying to say. He is not saying that give me anything. What he is looking for is not your money, not your possessions, not the prasad, not arti. What is the intent? How are you presenting whatever you're presenting? So that's what Lord is saying, that whatever you give, the subject or the matter or whatever the thing which you are offering me, that is not important. With what virtue are you offering that to me? You are offering it to me with absolute love, humbleness, humility, and pure and self-controlled man. The person who knows what he is doing. Such person's offering is very readily accepted by me, is what Lord Krishna says. Next statement in Satcharitra, it is dedicated to Shri Sai Baba, the Antaryami. This work with myself. He very clearly says that Shri Sai Baba, who is an Antaryami. Who is an Antaryami? Who is in everything, living and non-living. Who knows the past, present and the future. Who knows everything, all the secrets of the universe. So that person is an Antaryami. So he calls Baba an Antaryami. So he very clearly these are the two statements which are made in Sai Satcharitra Chapter 1 before the beginning dedication. When he says Antaryami, again one of the description or one of the meaning of Veda is opened up here. Statements or Krishna's in Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna says. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. I am in every living and non-living thing. Very clearly said. Baba is Antaryami. So that is how the author gives his dedication to to this work and to Lord Krishna, and then he starts his work. So this is the background of Shri Sai Satcharithra, purpose of Shri Sai Satcharithra. And how do we go forward from here? Now we actually come to the main thing, the chapter 1, Shri Sai Satcharithra. You've just understood. We've had an introduction about Satcharithra. So we are actually talking about Satcharithra. Now how do we live Satcharithra? Now my only request to all of us is, let us be in that story which is written in Satcharithra, as it is narrated. Let us not just read it. Let us understand. Satcharithra is not just to be read. It should be understood and it should be lived. And most importantly, it should be experienced. Like as we go forward, experiencing Satcharithra is something we will do. Now to start with, Sri Govinda Raghunatha Dhamulkar, he writes in the chapter 1, Chapter 1 covers obeisances, the story of grinding wheat, and its philosophical significance. According to the ancient and revered custom, Hemant begins the work Shri Sai Satcharithra with various salutations. First, he makes obeisance to God Ganesha to remove all the obstacles and make the work a success, and says that Shri Sai is God Ganesha himself. Then to Goddess Saraswati to inspire him to write the work, and says that Shri Sai is one with this goddess and that he is himself singing his own life. Then to gods Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the creating, preserving and destroying deities respectively, and says that Sainath is one with them and he, the great teacher, will carry us across the river of worldly existence. Then to his tutorly deity Narayan Adinath, who manifested himself in Konkan, the land reclaimed by Parashurama from the sea, and to the Adi Purusha of the family. Then to Bharadwaj Muni, into whose Gotra he was born, and also to various rishis like Yajnavalkya, Bhrugu, Parashara, Narada, Vedavyasa, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumar, Shuka, Shaunaka, Vishwamitra, Vashishta, Valmiki, Vamadeva, Jaimini, Vaishampayana, Navayogendra, etc. And also modern saints such as Nivritti, Jnanadeva, Sopan, Muktavai, Janardhan, Ekanath, Namadev, Tukaram, Kanha, and Narahari, etc. Then to his grandfather, Sadashiva, father Raghunath, his mother who left him in his infancy, to his paternal aunt who brought him up, and to his loving elder brother. Then to the readers and praise to them to give their whole and undivided attention to his work. And lastly to his Guru, Shri Sainath, an incarnation of Shri Dattatreya, who is whole and sole refuge and who will make him realize that Brahma is the reality and the world is an illusion. And incidentally, to all beings in whom the Lord God dwells. So, now we have read this one page and a paragraph. Now, if you see that, what is it that Shri Dhawadkar saying? He is saying first, remover of obstacle is Mahaganapati, please remove the obstacle. And he says, Shri Sainath Maharaj. And then he prays to Mahasaraswati, Mother Saraswati, to give him the knowledge and inspire him to continue the work, complete the work. And says, he and Shri Sainath are one and the same. And he goes on and on and on. And finally he says, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. He says, let them, he invokes their blessings also to complete the work. But he recognizes them also in Shri Sainath Maharaj. To his tutorly deity Adinath, then also the original Adi Purusha, the Mula Purusha of their family. Then all the saints and modern saints and everybody. Then to his grandfather and members of his family, the readers, and to his Adi Guru, his Guru, Shri Sainath Maharaj. And he also declares what Shri Sai Baba is. Now, 3-4 points are very clear here. If we read it as it is written, fine, we will move on. But this is the purpose of this whole discussion and deliberation and trying to decipher Satcharitra. dive deep into it and understand what it is. Right? This is the main reason why we are doing it. Now, first thing is that he sees all gods and goddesses in Baba. He sees all gods and goddesses in Baba, and he sees Baba in all gods and goddesses. The way Shri Dhabolkar is already evolved before he picks up to write this book. He is worthy. He is worthy of starting and completing a work which is as precious, as beautiful as Shri Sai Satcharithra, because he knows that everything, every avatar, every god, every guru, everything is dissolved in his guru. Every avatar, every goddess, every god, everybody is in his guru. He sees all of them in his guru. He sees nothing beyond and above his guru. His family deities, his Adi Purushas, everybody, he says, it's all in my Lord. That is how evolved is Sri Govinda Raghunath Dhabolkar. That is why he is been given the job of writing this Sri Sai Satcharithra. Not anybody and everybody can do it. That is the level of intellectual evolution, spiritual evolution Sri Dhabolkar had already attained before he comes to Shri. Then the other thing he says, three things which we have to understand from this particular occurrence. Second, he says the entire of Baba's philosophy or school of thoughts is explained here. When he says that he whose Baba is the one who's his sole refuge and who will make him realize that Brahman is the reality and world is an illusion. Now what is it? What does it mean? The school of thought, the final opinion and everything, like what is the philosophy which Baba endorsed, which Baba believed, is Advaita. Advaita is here. First we got a Veda mantra, Isha Vasimil Idam Sarvam. He is in every living and non-living thing. Second, it's very clear, just within one page, 1.25 page, so much of depth is there. What does he say? School of thought of Sri Sainath Maharaj is Advaita. Because he clearly says that he who is going to take me and protect me and evolve me to realize that Brahmam Satyam Jagan Nityam. Brahma is the truth, rest is all an illusion. Aham Brahmasmi. So Prajnanam Brahmam, Tattvamasi, Atmanam Brahman. So all these things, Advaitic philosophy is here. Baba's school of thoughts, Sri Sainath Maharaj's school of thought was Advaita. We are very clear. We're just trying to pull out, decipher, and justify it to ourselves, not to anybody else. We are always open for discussion and deliberation. But this is what is written in Satcharitra. Why we are taking this in literal sense and why we are sticking to the book which has been published by Sansthan, this is in its purest form. There is no adulteration, no bhashya, there is nothing. This is our understanding. So two things we understood. He sees everybody, every god's in Baba. He sees Baba in every god and goddess. What it goes on to say that when we offer our prayers to Baba, we just say, Anyatha Sharanam Nasti, Tvameva Sharanam Mama. What it means is, literal transliteration if you take it, It's like I denounce my surrenderance to all other entities. I surrender only to you. No, that is not the meaning of it. What it actually means is that I see every every god and goddess in you. I see you in every god and goddess. No other belief system is being belittled here, or dismissed here, or given up here. It is a point of integration when you say Anyatha Sharanam Nasti, Tvameva Sharanam Mama. It only goes on to say that it is a point of integration. There is no discrimination. There is no difference. There is no division. I see you in everybody. I see everybody in you. That is ultimate union. And also Advaita is said where it very clearly says that I see myself in you. I see you in myself. Brahmam Satyam Jagannath. The only truth is you, Lord. Rest everything is an illusion. That is what is the meaning of it. And lastly, even within this, people have a lot of confusions and questions and queries. Who is Baba? What was he? Where is he from? What is this? Let us rest all these aside. One thing is very clear. Why I keep saying and stick to Sai Satcharithra, because I don't read anything beyond this. I don't want to get involved with anything else when it comes to Baba's life, because this is the gospel truth. This is the gospel truth. What is written in Sai Satcharithra, published by the Sansthan. Now finally he says, and lastly to his guru, Shri Sainath Maharaj, an incarnation of Shri Dattatreya, which I keep saying when I am asked sometimes that why do you say, how do you say that he is the incarnation of Shri Adiguru Dattatreya? It is written in Satcharitra. If I have to answer it, one simple word. But what a guru is, who a guru is, he lived his whole life without giving any sermons, without preaching anything, without giving any bija mantras or bijaksharis, 6 syllables or whatever, without so-called initiating anybody, nothing. But he always carried himself, lived and guided his disciples and devotees as a guru. So the reason why I always say that the final, the Purna Avatara of Sri Adiguru Dattatreya is Sri Shirdi Sai Baba. Sai Baba is the final and a conclusive avatar of Sri Adiguru Dattatreya, no doubts about it. As we keep going into Satcharitra, deeper and deeper chapter wise, this will get more and more and more convincing. Because I don't want to pick up anything which is said in the later stage of Satcharitra right now. It doesn't make sense. Let's wait. When that chapter and that story comes, there are some more evidences, circumstantial evidences, which will very clearly establish the fact that Sri Sainath Maharaj is the conclusive avatar of Sri Adiguru Dattatreya. There are 3 types of avatars. Let me complete that also here. 1. Karana avatar. What is a Karana avatar? A evolved soul, completely evolved soul, for the cause of establishment of righteousness, dharma sanstapana, to protect the saints and innocents and believers. A divine, supreme consciousness, someone who has almost attained moksha, but still they, out of their own free will and accord, have maintained the philosophy or the practice of Advaita. They haven't yet become one with the supreme consciousness. Those souls, when they take birth in human form for a specific purpose, a particular purpose, they descend and they come and they do their work and they go. Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, not just in spiritual arena, please understand. A Karanavatar can be in every arena, any arena. Some of the greatest inventors. What is necessary for the world as the world is expanding, as the world is evolving, as the necessities are increasing? Why is it that some of these scientists who are born with extraordinary intelligence and this one? Why? Is because, and they come, they finish their work and they go. That's a typical example of a Karanavatar. Lot of saints, most of the saints, they come, they do their job and go. Adi Shankaracharya Karanavatar, Swami Vivekananda Karanavatar, Paramahansa Yogananda Karanavatar. Plenty. Next comes the Anshavatar. The supreme consciousness becomes partly with the most evolved soul and descends to the world, to benefit the world, to look after the world, for the benefit of the mankind, to protect the innocent, to protect the saints. Those are Anshavatar. भगवान का अंश और ये व्यक्तिगत अंश. These two combined descent, that is Anshavatar. Southern India, we have a greatest saint who is worshipped, revered very highly. His name is Shri Swamiji. He was an Anshavatar. Madhvacharya was Anshavatar, one of the Acharyas. So, Anshavatars are a combination or a blend of the Supreme Consciousness and the most evolved consciousness, or the soul, Supreme Soul, Paramatma and Atma together. That is Anshavatar. Now coming to Purnavatar. Who is a Purnavatar? The Supreme, the Divine, the God, the Lord Himself comes in His own full form. No Ansha, He doesn't come for a Karana. He comes in His full form and force completely. That is Purnavatar. Now, coming to Sri Sai Baba. He was, let me stress and clarify here, was the Purna Avatar of Sri Adi Guru Dattatreya. Sri Adi Guru Dattatreya's Purna Avatar is Sri Shirdi Sainath Maharaj. Why do we say that? Anything which is said, we can speak anything, we can make any statement, but unless and until it is not justified, logically at least, there are certain things which are theoretic. Theoretic opinions can also be backed by logic. Logically at least, We should understand. We just cannot believe something, we just cannot say something. Why do we say Purna Avatar? The characteristics of Purna Avatar we will discuss. Lord Rama was a Purna Avatar of Mahavishnu. Lord Krishna was a Purna Avatar of Vishnu. Now tell me, whenever there is a Purna Avatar of the divine, their worship does not stop soon after their demise from the Sthula Sharira. Lord Rama's temples and are even to this day there. Lord Rama is being worshipped even today. Lord Krishna is being worshipped even today. His temples are being built and it is only spreading. How different is Shri Sai Baba's? The Purna Avatar of Adiguru Dattatreya, Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, they are the Purna Avatar of Vishnu. The Purna Avatar of Adiguru Dattatreya is Shri Shirdi Sai Nath Maharaj. So that is why his temples are being built, his presence is being felt. He is eternally here. As long as this world is there, his worship will never stop. It will only increase. Unfortunate date. Excuse me. On the 18th of October 1918, when Baba shed the body. From that day, for the next 20-25 years, the popularity of Shirdi had exceeded. The worshippers in Shirdi had gone down. Visitors to Shirdi had gone down. But the moment after about 25 years, 20 years or 30 years, they started climbing up. Today we know millions and millions of people. I think this is the third or the fourth largest visited holy place in India, after possibly Tirupati and Vaishno Devi, excuse me, is Shirdi. It is not that, the Anshavatar's temples are not being built, or Purna, Karanavatars is not being worshipped. But you see the scale at which it happens. And also, this is another indicator, this is another clarification which we get. Baba did not take birth as anybody else. Nowhere in Satcharithra is mentioned. Nowhere in Satcharithra it is mentioned that he'll come back as something else. Yes, Baba's Anshavatar, somebody might have come. I'm not denying that. Somebody might have taken a birth of Baba's Ansha and they themselves as a supreme consciousness or evolved conscious. I will not dispute that. But as a Purna Avatar of Baba, no. As a Purna Avatar of Baba. So these are the clarifications. We are just in one page and 2-3 paragraphs of Satcharitra. So then we move to the next thing, which is wherein after describing the brief of various modes of devotion, according to Parashara, Vyasa and Shandilya, etc., the author goes on to relate the following story. What he is saying after describing in brief the various modes of devotion, it is basically Navavidha Bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, so finally Atmanivedanam, Archanam, Dasyam. So likewise there are 9 folds of Bhakti. We will take that separately as we go forward, Navavidha Bhakti as a separate thing because it's too elaborate. We will take it up separately, but Yes, what he means is after describing in brief, the various modes of devotion according to Parashara, Vyasa and Shandilya, the author goes on to relate the following story. Now I want you all to, well, in a normal situation is not a right thing to say, but just soak in to the situation. Sink in to that atmosphere. As I read this, live those moments. Live those experience of Sri Govinda Raghunath Dhabolkar. You, for a moment, think that are Sri Govinda Raghunath Dhabolkar yourself. Let us travel. Let us experience Satcharitra. Let us not just, read it. Let us not just understand it. Reading, understanding, deciphering, everything is fine. Let us also enjoy. As we read and understand, let us also live those moments. So as we go forward, I want you all to just not visualize or imagine, just live. Live the moments which Sri Dhabolkar lived. Right. I'll read the story first and then we will explain it. It was sometime after 1910 that I went one fine morning to the masjid in Shri to have darshan of Sri Sai Baba. I was wonderstruck to see the following phenomenon. After washing his mouth and face, Sai Baba began to make preparations for grinding wheat. He spread a sack on the floor and thereon set a hand mill. He took some quantity of wheat in winnowing fan and then, drawing up his sleeves and of his kafni, the robe, and taking hold of the peg of the hand mill, started grinding the wheat. By putting a few handful of wheat in the upper opening of the mill and rotating it. I thought, what business Baba had with the grinding of wheat when he possessed nothing and stored nothing, and as he lived on alms. Some people who had come there thought likewise, but none had the courage to ask Baba what he was doing. Immediately this news of Baba grinding wheat spread into the village, and at once men and women ran to the masjid and flocked there to see Baba's act. We'll take a pause at this. Now we need to understand very crucial point we have reached. Right in the beginning of Shri Sai Satcharithra. You can imagine Shri Govinda Raghunath Dhabolkar, who will be henceforth and in future be addressed and called as Saipanth, for reasons which will be explained later. He is stating that in the year 1910, he goes to Shri. We all know for a fact that nobody can go to Shirdi or any holy place or to the abode of any guru without the command of the guru or the god. We as Sai Bhakts, we don't have any doubt about that. So it is Sri Sai Baba who summons, who draws Sri Govinda Raghunath Dhabolkar in the year 1910. Why is it so? Why not early? Why not later? Why so late? Because in 1918, 8 years after Sri Dabodkar comes to Shirdi, Baba sheds his body. And whatever happens subsequently, we will talk about it. The reason why Baba called him in 1910, not earlier, nor later, is because by the time 50 plus years of Baba's stay in Shri in physical form, he had performed most of his miracles. He had given the jnana to most of his devotees and disciples. His teachings were complete. What they were, it will be revealed subsequently. We are just sticking to the subject of why Dabodkar was drawn to Holy Land of Shirdi in 1910, not earlier, not later. Master is very clear. We get into an anxious state. Something which I wanted to happen now is not happening. Why is it taking so long? The right time and when it has to happen, how it has to happen, your Guru knows it. So this is precisely why Sri Baba always said, Shraddha Sapuri. Have faith, I will take care. Have patience, because it needs time. The time has to be right. So Sri Dabodkar comes to Shirdi in the year 1910 because all the miracles have been done, all the teachings are completed, everything needs to be compiled, everything needs to be understood, experiences of his devotees and disciples have to be drawn, collected, put into a story form, compile everything, and then give this wonderful work for Sri Sai Baba's bhakts to come for centuries, as long as the world exists. That is why he was drawn in 1910. If it were to be earlier, if he was drawn, let's say a few years earlier, a decade or two earlier, what happens to Dabodkar is what we need to understand. He gets inspired. What is inspiration? Inspiration just happens once. And it changes your thought process. It changes your perception. It makes sure that you are always, your whole, there is a paradigm shift in your belief system. You change from within once you are inspired and you start working on the cause of your inspiration and the purpose of your inspiration. So that inspiration was necessary, and when it was necessary in 1910, because 1918 Baba was to leave his body. Possibly, or surely, if Sri Dabodkar had come 10 or 15 years before this 1910, he wouldn't have been inspired. Or even if he were to be inspired, he would not be in a state to document all the things which transpired in Shri. Possibly he would have been engrossed with his worldly life, his worldly responsibilities, so many other things, parameters. We don't know anything. We are ignorant people. That's why Guru, when the master decides, he has a master plan. Have no doubts about it. Carry only two things, Shraddha and Saburi. Faith in him, little bit of patience. Things will be sorted. So that's what happens. That's why Sri Dabodkar is drawn to Holy Land of Shirdi in 1910, not earlier, not later. Now I was wonderstruck in the phenomena following. In the following phenomena. Let us just visualize. Sri Dabodkar is walking. Just think about it. Sri Govinda Raghunath Dabodkar freshens up. He's walking from Hanuman Mandir side. Most of us who have gone to Shirdi, you know where Hanuman Mandir is. From Hanuman Mandir side, he's walking towards Dwarkamai. See the act of Lord. He is waiting. Understand? The moment Dabholkar walks into Dwarka Mai, then Baba wakes up from his seat. Visualize. This is what when I say when I said that we will experience Satcharitra, we will not just read and understand. Experience. We'll do that also, but experience Satcharitra. Just imagine you are Dabholkar, you are walking towards Dwarka Mai. You stand at the door of Dwarka Mai. Lord looks at you. Lord Baba looks at you standing at the door of Dwarka Mai. And with a pleasantness in his face, that the time has come, my instrument is come. So he has to do what he is supposed to do, which the Lord only knows. He gets up, freshens up, washes his face, washes his mouth, pulls up the kafni, the sleeve. He does nothing other than pulls down the bag of a sack of wheat, gets that chakki, the handmill, takes a fistful of wheat, puts it into the center of it, and starts grinding. Just imagine you are Shri Dabholkar standing and witnessing this. Not one such instance or not one such thing is mentioned that experience is being given to any other devotee or disciple. Only to Dabholkar, because he had this purpose. So we will move forward. Remain there, be a Dabholkar and remain. So he feels like what business Baba had with grinding the wheat when he possessed nothing and stored nothing, and he lives on alms. Some people who had come there thought likewise, but none had the courage to ask Baba what he was doing. Immediately this news spread out across Shirdi and people started flocking in. And 4 bold women from the crowd forced themselves their way up and pushed Baba aside and forcibly took the peg or handle into their hands and singing Baba's Leelas started grinding. At first Baba was enraged, but on seeing the woman's love and devotion, he was much pleased and began to smile. While they were grinding, they began to think that Baba had no house, no property, no children, none to look after, and he lived on alms, and therefore he did not require any wheat flour for making bread or roti. What will he do with this large quantity of flour? Perhaps as Baba is very kind, he will distribute the flour amongst us. Thinking in this way, and while singing, they finished the grinding, and after putting the handmill aside, they divided the flour into 4 portions and began to remove them by taking 1 portion per head. Right, now we'll start with this. Next we'll understand this. Now, one more thing we need to understand from the past statement is that Sri Govinda Raghunath Dabholkar is not a devotee of Sri Saipanth Maharaj. He is a disciple. The difference between a disciple and a devotee we will discuss subsequently. Let us be very clear, Sri Dabholkar is Baba's disciple, not a devotee. He is a disciple. Now, there's another phenomenon. Some more people who had gathered when this thing was happening, they also were wondering, like Shri why Baba is doing this anyway? Maybe let us not talk, let us not discuss. Nobody had the guts. We need to understand Baba a little. This will give you a complete characteristic of Baba, just this one statement. Were people scared of Baba to approach him? No. Were people finding it, were they so paranoid or were they so scared and were they so fretting to approach Baba when Baba was doing something like this? No. They were wondering. They were wondering what Baba was doing, but nobody had the guts to approach him. Now we should know how Baba used to look. Baba was around 5 feet 10 inches tall. Extremely handsome. There is the divine glow in his eyes and face, the blue-eyed. Very broad-chested man. I'm just talking about the physical appearance to start with. His hands were long, Ajanabahu. His presence was so divine. And what was he wearing? A torn kafni, one dhoti, barefoot, a jhola, one satka, one matka, and a thali. That's all his possessions. And a tamran, the bowl. That's it. Zero possessions. The universal master, the Guru Samrat. What he was nothing but the dignity blended with divinity. He had that divine dignity. He carried himself that way because, you can't say that he carried himself that way because that is what he was. He was divine and divine is always dignified. The Guru Samrat, the Purnavatar of Adi Guru Dattatreya, he stands. Who can go to? I ask anybody who says, oh Baba, I love you, I want to see you, if tomorrow, if the Divine Master decides to appear in front of you in his physical body, trust me, you can't take it. We will faint. We will say, but no, because he won't do that because to all of us, because he knows we can't handle that. So when he was in his physical form, due to the Daiva Gambhirya, what we call it as Daiva Gambhirya, which means the divine dignity, which he carried himself with, nobody could approach him, not out of fear, not out of just respect. It is undefinable. The feeling is something which is undefinable. They were not scared of Baba. They used to run to Baba for everything. They witnessed that divine presence, the divinity in Baba. That is why they did not make that approach. But despite that, he has to perform the miracle. Things have to go. He has to send out a message, and 4 women push themselves into this into that happening and push Baba aside and take over that grinding process. So now these 4 women finish all the work and they think that Baba has nobody, he doesn't cook, he lives on alms and he doesn't have anybody to give to. So they decide amongst themselves. He is caring, very loving and everything. Decide amongst themselves. Make 4 portions of food, take it. We'll continue with the story. Baba, who was calm, just imagine now, just visualize you are standing like Sri Dhamakar and witnessing everything. Just imagine. Baba was calm and quiet up till now. Got wild and started abusing them, saying, "Ladies, have you gone mad? Whose property, whose father's property are you looting away? Have I borrowed any wheat from you so that you can safely take the flour? Now do this. Take the flour and throw it on the village borders." On her hearing this, the women felt abashed and whispering amongst themselves, went to the outskirts of the village and spread the flour as directed by Baba. Two things. Two things we need to understand. Those four women pushed Baba aside, took over the mill, started grinding the wheat. What were they? What example is that? That is the example of instrumental devotion. Baba grinding the wheat, or our pains, afflictions and agonies and karmas and karma phalas and rinas and rinanubandhas from our past birth, sanchita karmas and everything. That is what he was actually doing. Symbolically grinding the wheat. When he was doing it. But four of them chose to become his instrument and they get in and they push him aside. Lord, don't worry, we will do it. I am talking about the philosophical significance, not actually what happens. So what they become, they appoint themselves as instruments of God. Right? They start grinding. And then they judge their guru. Big blunder. Very big blunder. They decide that guru doesn't have anybody, he doesn't need anything. They make 4 portions of it and carry it with themselves. Try to carry it with themselves. Never judge your guru. Never take him for granted. Never ever do anything without consulting him when you are doing his work. See how beautifully Satcharitra opens up. Satcharitra has hidden jewels in it. Instrumental devotion. How an instrument has to be, instrument of God has to be. You can't take the God for your guru or God for granted. Seek his permission. Don't judge him. Biggest blunder you're doing. He only knows what is there in his mind and what is the purpose of the act. We all are nothing. So don't belittle Guru. This is something which happened out of innocence and ignorance, but still ignorance has no excuse when your relationship with your Guru, if it has to be right and perfect. Ignorance is not bliss in this case. Sorry. How a Shishya has to be with the Guru. He doesn't do anything without the command of the Guru. And he doesn't do anything more than what Guru says. He doesn't do anything less than what Guru says, because he actually is not the doer. It's the Guru who is the doer. When we try to blend our intellect, our logic, our rational into this, that's where the mess happens. That's what these 4 ladies made. They were not bad. They just applied their thoughts and they thought they know more than their Guru. They decided he doesn't need anything. Who are we? अगर हम उनकी इंस्ट्रूमेंट बन गए, उनके भक्त बन गए, उनके शिष्य बन गए, वही बड़ी बात है. उसमें हम उनको जज करना, उनके बारे में सोचना और उनका जो बर्ताव उसके बारे में हम अपना दिमाग लगाना ना। और अनजाने में हो गया, उसके लिए भी माफी नहीं है। ये होता है गुरु शिष्य परंपरा, और यह ऐसा होता है गुरु शिष्यों का संबंध। यही चार औरत, this very four ladies, had they requested Baba, said that Baba, what do we do? The wheat is, it's a wheat flour which is here. What do we do with it? Do you mind if we take it home? Possibly he would have said, yeah, make 4 portions of it and take it. They taking their guru for granted was the biggest blunder. Now, what did he do? Was he angry with them? No. This story is giving out a message to his devotees and disciples to come for centuries and thousands of years, how one should be with a guru, how an instrumental devotion works. That is the beauty of Sai Satcharithra. If as we keep going, it's an ocean of knowledge. All the Vedas, all the, your Granth Sahib to Quran Sharif to Bibles, all the teachings of the whole universe is all here in this small work. We just need to understand, decipher and understand. Now what happens? We will go further. I asked, no, sorry, he says, ladies, have you gone mad? And whatever, he'll ask them to throw the wheat flour on the outskirts of the village. And they did so. I asked the Shirdi people, what was this that Baba did? Replied that as cholera epidemic was spreading in the village, this was Baba's remedy for the same. It was not wheat that was ground, but cholera itself was ground to pieces and pushed out of the village. From this time onward, the cholera epidemic subsided and the people of the village were happy. I was very much pleased to know all this, but at the same time, my curiosity was also aroused. I began to ask myself, what earthly connection was there between wheat flour and cholera? What was the causal relationship between the two? And how to reconcile them? The incident seemed to be inexplicable. I should write something on this and sing to my heart's content Baba's sweet Leelas. Thinking in this way about this Leela, my heart was filled with joy. I thus was inspired to write Baba's life, the Sai Satcharitra. And as we know, with Baba's grace and blessings, this work was successfully accomplished. We kiss this book, Shri Satcharitra. As I mentioned earlier, the purpose of Sri Dabodkar's visit to Shirdi in 1910 was Baba to complete all his miracles, and he wanted his chosen instrument to compile all those things, his teachings, his gospel and doctrine, and write it down. That work was of Dabodkar, and that instance, and as soon as Dabodkar comes, he performs this act of grinding the wheat and those 4 women coming and then pushing Baba aside. he getting angry, and then nobody can approach him, and then finally those women do all those things of dividing amongst themselves, and he asks them to throw it around the periphery of the village and whatever, as we just read, and which wards of cholera in Shirdi village. All those things. What is the bottom line of it all? It inspires Sri Dhaborkar, and we have this work forever. The divine master works this way. He always has a plan. So that's the beauty. Within this, so many things are clear for us. Baba is a Purna Avatar of Adiguru Dattatreya. School of thought is Advaita. Sri Dhaborkar is a student. How a devotee and a disciple should be. A disciple should not take the Guru for granted. He should not judge the Guru. We don't know what the Guru is. Whatever you do by the command of your Guru, you have to seek his permission first. All these things are explained. We are just about 2.5 pages of Satcharitra. See, that's the beauty of Satcharitra. Reading is not enough. Understanding is very nice. Living it, experiencing it is a beauty. Now, Sri Dhaborkar is inspired. He decides कि भाई ये तो करना है. I have to compile everything. I have to collect all the miracles and leelas of Baba, and I want to compile and write a book on it. And that is fulfilled. This Satcharitra is in our hands. Thanks to that incident of Baba, that miracle of Baba. And subsequently also, Sri Dhaborkar becomes the president of the Sansthan. He was the one who establishes everything. The systems in the Sansthan. He puts up a trust, he puts up a Sansthan, he makes sure everything is streamlined. 4 aartis are happening. Samadhi Mandir is, takes a shape and everything. Recently, maybe about 20 years ago, the government took over. Till such time, it was a private Sansthan. So that was the job of Sri Dhaborkar. So, last paragraph of this chapter 1. Philosophical significance of grinding. Apart from the meaning which the people of Shirdi put on this incident of grinding wheat, there is, we think, a philosophical significance too. Baba lived in Shirdi for about 60 years, and during this long period, he did the business of grinding almost every day. Not, however, wheat alone, but the sins and mental and physical afflictions and the miseries of his innumerable devotees. The two stones of his mill consisted of karma and bhakti. The former being the lower, and the other one is the latter, the upper. The handle with which Baba worked the mill consisted of dhyana. Stress on the word dhyana, Saipanthis, meditation. We'll dive deep into it. It was the firm conviction of Baba that knowledge or self-realization is not possible unless there is the prior act of grinding all our impulses, desires, sins, and of their gunas, which are Sattvika, Rajasika, and Tamasika, and the Ahankar, ego, biggest enemy of a human being, which is so subtle and therefore so difficult to get rid of. So this is one small paragraph, but too many deep meanings in it. Baba lived in Shirdi for 60 plus years. 8 years before he leaves the body, he calls Sri Dhaborkar to compile and write everything and give it to the world for posterity. And Sri Dhaborkar, just imagine his level of prudence, spiritual prudence, spiritual evolution and the state he was. He easily deciphers. For a common man of those days, I'm not saying that, I'm not belittling them, a common villager of Shri, हाँ भाई, गांव में कॉलेरा आने वाला था, बाबा ने चक्की में सारा कॉलेरा को ये वीट के थ्रू वो ग्राइंड करके निकाल दिया, गांव में मतलब गांव के पेरिफेरी में डाल दिया, तो कॉलेरा गांव में आया, गांव वाले बच गए, सब खुश है. It's a truth. That's also a truth. But that understanding is a little shallow. When you go a little deeper, well, like what Sri Dhaborkar did, he understood. He understood his master. He said, or he thought to himself, he is doing this grinding every day. He is grinding the sins, pain, afflictions, agony, miseries of his chosen millions and millions of devotees. He is grinding it and crushing them. That's what he is doing in Shri. How deep is Sri Dhaborkar? He understands that. He gets into that level of understanding of his master. Just first instance, when Guru calls you, when you are drawn to your Guru, your doubts will vanish, your search will end. When you find, हम सब हर जगह इधर उधर घूमते रहते हैं गुरु के लिए, मतलब ढूंढते हुए, गुरु को ढूंढते हुए, लेकिन उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. जब गुरु बुला लेता है, बाबा तो थे शिरडी में for good 50 plus years, 52 plus years, लेकिन 1910 में उन्होंने बुलाया, क्योंकि समय तब था श्री धाबोड़कर का. आगे जाके उसके बारे में बातें हैं शिरडी, I mean सच्चरिता में. Whether there is a story about it which covers that. So when the time comes, your Guru will draw you. Don't worry. Prepare yourself to be drawn by your Guru. That's all you need to do. You may go to different gurus, siddhas and yogis, who are not worthy of gurus, maybe not. I'm not making any controversial statement, just that, you may even go there. But eventually, your Sadguru will take you. Your Guru will take you. He will draw you to himself. Don't worry. So prepare yourself to be drawn by your Guru. That's number one. Then, how? That is how Sri Dhaborkar was so prepared. That's why Guru drew him to himself. And as long as the word is there, Sri Dhaborkar will remain remaining in our memories because of this wonderful word. That's the kind of recognition a Guru gives once we are ready, once we are prepared. Now moving next, about the same story. So what he is doing is, two stones of milk consist of karma and bhakti. The former being the lower and the chakki has two. One is a karma, this one bottom one and the top one. The top one is the one which is which moves. Right? The bottom one is static. What it means? Your sanchita karma is static. Your karma phala is static. It's not actually karma. Everybody says that karma and stop at that. No. What you have accumulated from all your past births is sanchita karma. That is called as sanchita karma, which is static. छोटी सी बात है, इतनी सुंदर से मालिक ने हमको समझा दिया. पूरा philosophy and thoughts of karma, he has just explained in this small incident or small example of one mill, one chakki. उसमें बता दिया पूरा कर्म का रहस्य, कर्म सिद्धांत का रहस्य आपको बता दिया. So simple, so profound. So the karma phala is static, you can't take it out, it doesn't move. But bhakti is the one which moves on it. With what? How does the movement happens? What is the one which you have to hold on to for the bhakti to move? Dhyana. Mentioned here. What we do the Kriya, Shunya Kriya Yoga, mentioned here. So Jnana, Bhakti, Karma mentioned here. That is what Baba has very explicitly explained it to us. Jnana, Bhakti, Karma is here, sir. That is the beauty of Satcharitra. Your karma, your Sanchita karma is static. You can grind everything, and the wheat is your Vartamana karma. Well, what is Vartamana karma? Contemporary, right now. What you doing right now? Vartamana karma. You put it and start grinding it. With what? And everything is happening with what? The energy. Sanchita karma is there, bhakti is there, dhyana is there, but something has to move, no, that energy. That is your guru. The one who moves it. The fist of Baba, which is holding that peg and grinding. That is the grace of Guru. That is the importance of Guru. That is what is explained here. It is so simple, so beautiful. So that's what the author says. The handle with which Baba worked the mill consisted of dhyana. It was the firm conviction of Baba that knowledge or self-realization is not possible unless there is a prior act of grinding all our impulses, desires, sins, and all the three gunas and etc. and ahankar, which is subtle and therefore difficult to believe. And two things, I will split this into two. One is that all our karma phalas have to get crushed. Because why? Why is it necessary before we take a path on start progressing on our spiritual path? These are the ones who influences our thoughts, our karma phalas, your arishad vargas, the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, the lust, the fury or anger, the greed, the ego, the attachment, and jealousy. These are the things. How do you get rid of it once your Arishad Vargas are gone? So what Baba first does is preparing you. Stick to your Guru, don't worry. Have patience, have faith and patience. The more patience you have, the more faith you have, the faster he will draw you. Do not doubt his, act. No. Once your Guru draws you, once Baba draws you, he will never let you down. Know this for sure. 2-3 things I'll have to tell you once you are a Baba Bhakt. Number 1, sorry to say, you have no privacy. No privacy, sir. No privacy, ma'am. Sorry, you lost it. He knows everything. Whatever is happening with you, within you, around you, everything. Your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, your actions, your intentions. Nothing is hidden by him. From him, sorry. He knows everything. In one word, I have to tell you, I'm so sorry. Once you choose to walk on the path of spirituality, once you accept Lord Shri Sainath Maharaj as your Guru and go to him, he will not let you go. You may feel at times, oh my God, he is not doing enough. I'm not getting this at the right time. He knows what is good for you. Actually, once you are in his lap, or in his custody, or your life is autopilot. We feel, in between, no, yes, I am struggling. He will make you do your karma. It's not that he's going to let you go free or pamper you or carry you on his shoulders, but he's monitoring. He's drawn the plan, you have to walk. Don't worry. But yes, there is no privacy. He knows everything. He's with you and within you. You can't lie to your Guru. Sawali. These are things we should know once we become bhaktas to Shishyas, from devotee to a disciple. Once let's put it in a very simple one word. Once your Guru has accepted you, it's over. पाखंड नहीं चलेगा, झूठ नहीं चलेगा, कुछ नहीं चलेगा. आप भले दुनिया में किसी को भी कन्विंस कर दो, आपके कोई भी काम, आपने कोई भी कर्म किया है, कोई भी कांड किया है, उसको आप जैसे मर्जी जस्टिफाई कर लो, आपके गुरु के सामने नहीं चलेगा. वो गुरु आपका आईना है. The God, the Guru is your reflection. He is your mirror. You can't lie. When we know this reality, when we understand and accept this reality, what happens to us? Our act is monitored. डर के मारे नहीं. भगवान से कभी डरो मत. भगवान को समझो. गुरु से डरना नहीं है, बिल्कुल नहीं है. अरे भाई, उनसे डरोगे तो किसके पास जाओगे? भले आप माँ बाप से डर लो, पति पत्नी से डरे, पत्नी पति से डरे, बच्चे पिता से डरे, माता से डरे, वो अलग बात है. You can be scared of anybody, but you can't be scared of your Guru or God. Where will you go? Nothing. You can't go anywhere. समझो, समझो, गुरु को समझो. Go back to him with mistakes, no problem. Say, ठीक है, आ जाओ. A guru will never curse you. Guru will never punish you. Because if he has accepted you as his, if he punishes you, the sufferer is he himself. So don't worry about all this. But don't fear your Guru. But know that there is no privacy. Your intent, your thought, your emotion, your feeling, your action, your reaction, everything is known to him. He is your indwelling master. Now, enjoy the journey. And there is one uniqueness and speciality about Shri Sai Baba. Once, just once, you are his. Till you become one with him, till your salvation or nirvana, nibbana, whatever, birth after birth should it be, he will not let you go. He'll always protect you. He'll always draw you to himself wherever you are, no matter where you are. He is with you. That is the speciality of Shri Sai Baba. Then he says that you have to grind these gunas, which is Sattvika, Rajasika and Tamasika gunas. These three gunas are very dangerous. Gunatita is what you have to become, above and beyond gunas. So you can't do it all. We can't do it all. It's not that easy. It's not possible. Importance and necessity of a guru is very clearly mentioned here. अगर हमसे हो जाता, अब हमारी खुद की साधना से हो जाता, तो हमें गुरु की क्या जरूरत होती? हमसे नहीं होगा. हम जानते हैं महान गुरु आए हैं यहाँ पे, उनके भी कोई ना कोई गुरु है. बिना गुरु का कुछ नहीं होता है, ये जान लो बस. Guru can be anything. I'm not saying that it is only Shri Sainath Maharaj. Like Baba himself said that, dekho, there are several ways to attain the Supreme. There is one from Shirdi also. Beauty of our path, Saipanth, as well as Shunya Kriya Yoga, is that there is also, we don't judge other paths, we don't compare ourselves. There are so many paths, there are so many ways. There is one from here also. That's all. Very simple. So, in whichever form, for Sikhism, Guru Granth Sahib is a Guru. So, likewise, there are, like it's a tattva, the essence of Guru. That is more important. Not just the Jivat Guru or Jivant Guru. That is also important. Choose yourself, suit yourself. The Divine Master, the Supreme Consciousness or the God has given you an a la carte. He's given you a menu. Choose your path. Enjoy life. Enjoy the journey. Right? So that's what he says. And Sattvika, Rajasika, Tamasika, these are all the three. You should be Gunatita. You should not get attached to these gunas. These things are mentioned in other chapters of Satcharitra, so I don't want to elaborate the first chapter more than this. So I will take it up in the next upcoming chapters. But one last, my favorite subject, Ahankar. Ahankar is such a demon, ego. Ahankar, ego. Everybody feels that अहंकारी है तो इतना egoistic है तो वो इतना यार खराब है, गलत बात है. It's not there. He's an egoistic person or she's an egoistic person. No, people take pride in being egoistic. Do you know that? Oh, I have an ego. I have a king-size ego. I have an elephant-size ego. I am egoistic. They take pride in it. I'm not kidding. I'm sure many of you must have come across people who are taking pride in being egoistic. Oh, it's my ego. Matlab, there is a subtle pride of it. Bhave. Stupid. Idiots. Fools. Mandabuddhi. Only an idiot, the purest and the most refined, best quality idiot can have an ego. And someone who is better than him can be proud of that ego. What jokers are they? Somebody, whoever calls themselves and takes pride in being egoistic. Fools. You know why I say this? They are fools. It is so easy to manipulate an egoistic man, you know that. We all know that, of course. Let me just give you an example. Just an example. Somebody is highly egoistic. छोटी सी बात है. इतनी आराम से उसको manipulate कर सकते हो आप. We can just manipulate them within no time. If somebody is egoistic, you just have to go and praise him or her. Wow, man, you are something. You have your selfish agenda. You want some work to be done. Just praise, massage their ego. You are so great, man. What you're wearing. Wow, you look so good. May or may not be looking good. Wow, nice car. Beautiful car. Good, man. You have a nice life. You are a wonderful human being. You have, which he is not or she is not. आपका काम हो गया. आप जो चाहते हैं हो गया. Stupidity. How beautifully you can manipulate that egoistic guy. Let's say somebody has recently or newly bought a Mercedes Benz, and then you just have to go to this egoistic man and say that, oh, that guy bought a Mercedes. Man, somebody like you should have that kind of a car for your stature. Massage the ego. Finished. वो बंदा सब करेगा, लोन लेगा, ये करेगा, वो करेगा, दलदल में फंसेगा, ये करेगा, वो करेगा, एक मर्सिडीज खरीद के ले आएगा. You played with that ego. At the same time, you can ruin that egoistic person's life by just puncturing his ego. अरे तुम क्या? You are nothing, बेकार. What you have achieved is nothing. And compare that person with somebody else who is deemed to be better than him. हाँ, तुम्हारे पास मर्सिडीज आ रहे यार, उसके पास 2-2 खड़ी है, 3-3 खड़ी आ रहे, वो तो किसी और लेवल का है। गया, उस बंदे का नींद उड़ गई, सोएगा नहीं उसे, पीस ऑफ माइंड इज शैटर्ड, इमोशनली गॉन, finished. So that is how ego works. It will make you do things which are stupid. You will take stupid decisions. We are nothing but big lump of stupidity if we think that we are ego. I mean, if we have ego and if we are proud of it. It is like, taking pride in being an idiot. Like, I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. And I'm proud of being one. It's exactly the same. There's no difference. So ego has to be contained. Ego has to be, ahankar has to go. That's the first thing which Baba says. He grinds that to you. Because why? Once you spiritually progress, you will develop an ego on the spirituality also. On your spiritual progression also. Ego is not necessarily only restricted to your relationships or worldly needs. You have saints and monks, so-called, who are highly egoistic. Jnanis are highly egoistic. पहले जिसके पास कुछ नहीं है उसको ईगो रहता है, ये लोगों के पास इतना रहता है तो ईगो तो जायज है उनके लिए. रावण, just will quote one example. Smriti and Stuti was how the Vedas were practiced. Vedas were never recited. Never written down. People used to recite and memorize. The man who gave Swara, why they used to do is, it was Bija, the Veda mantras used to be said in a, most of them were Bijaksharas types and they had to be recited in a particular manner, remembered, memorized and kept. The man who gave Swara, the Raga, to Vedas is Ravana. Such a Medavi, such an intelligent man. He got Atmalinga of Lord Shiva with his penance. Well, who was his enemy? Ego. Stupidity. Likewise, even when we progress spiritually, when we evolve spiritually, your enemy existing always, which is going to bring you down, is your ego. That is what Baba was. First remove all these things and please remove the ego also. All your become a gunatita. Rajasika, Tamasika, Sattvika Guna, everything is gone. So that is the importance of being free from ego. And last, but my favorite, I will not take much time. I think we have taken a lot of time. So last statement is, this author says, reminds us of a similar story of Sant Kabir Das, who seeing a woman grinding corn said to his guru, Dipat Niranjan, I am weeping because I feel the agony of being crushed under the wheel of worldly existence like the corn in the handmill. Then Nipat Niranjan replies, do not be afraid, hold fast to the handle of knowledge of this mill, as I do, and do not wander far away from the same, but turn inward to the center and you are sure to be saved. What we just spoke about, the significance, symbolic and spiritual significance, there is a small difference in here though, meaning bottom line remains the same though. I am weeping because he relates himself to the corn which is getting crushed in this worldly existence and Sanchita Karma, the bottom being the Sanchita Karma. He relates the upper this one object of that mill as the worldly existence, and he's getting piss raha hai. So that's the pain what Sant Kabir Das says. And Nipat Niranjan says, do not be afraid, hold fast to the handle of knowledge of this mill. So your bhakti, your yoga sadhana, little different. Bottom line remains the same as previous example. With that you hold the knowledge, jnana, as he does, as his guru does, and do not wander far away from the same. अगर आप ज्ञान से, भक्ति से और कर्म से हट गए तो फिर आप एक वो जो दाना बन के चक्की में गिरोगे और पिस जाओगे. इधर उधर मत जाना. होल्ड, बिहोल्ड योर गुरु. गुरु को छोड़ना नहीं है. गुरु कौन है समझ लो. गुरु एक बार आपको खींच लेगा अपने पास, वो कभी आपको छोड़ेगा नहीं. लेकिन हम मंद बुद्धि है और हमारा मस्तिष्क में एक बंदर बैठा रहता है, इधर उधर गुलाटी मारने जाता है. मत करो. श्री साईनाथ महाराज हमारे गुरु है. पकड़ के रखो, छोड़ना नहीं. उनके कमर से कस के पकड़ के रखो, भले कुछ भी हो जाए, छोड़ना नहीं अपने गुरु को. That's what he says here, that stick to your guru knowledge as I do, and do not wander far away from the same, but turn inwards to the center, and you are sure to be saved. Travel within. There is nothing outside. Everything is within you. The jnana is within you. Sadhana is within. Turn to the center inwards. कहीं ढूंढने की जरूरत नहीं है. गुरु को पकड़ो, अपने साधना में जाओ, चलते जाओ, आप बच जाओगे, आपको कुछ होगा नहीं. That is what Nipat Niranjan tells Sant Kabir Das. To conclude this first chapter of Shri Sai Satcharithra, I have to say this and submit that Shri Shirdi Sainath Maharaj, his previous birth was Sant Kabir Das. Baba was Sant Kabir Das, and then final, conclusive avatar. Why we call it as final and conclusive avatar? As long as the world remains, Baba in the same form and name will remain. That will be explained further as we dive deep into Satcharitra. So, previous birth of Shri Sai Baba, Sant Kabir Das. जैसे तिल में तेल है, जोन चकमक में आग. जैसे तिल में तेल है, जोन चकमक में आग. तेरा साई तुझ में है, तू जाग सके तो जाग. दोहा, one of the दोहाs of Sant Kabir Das. जैसे तिल में तेल है, जोन चकमक में आग. तेरा साई तुझ में है, तू जाग सके तो जाग. Like the oil in the til, sesame seed, and the flint stone. There is no fire in the flint stone. When you rub it, you get the fire, spark. You can light fire. So, जैसे तिल में तेल है, you won't see the oil in the til. When you crush it, the oil comes out. You experience the oil. जो चकमक में आग, those flint stones, when you rub, the sparks come out. There is no fire otherwise in it. बिल्कुल वैसे ही, just like that, तेरा साई, your divine master, your guru, your Shri Sainath Maharaj, तुझ में है. तू जाग सके तो जाग. तू जाग सके तो जाग. जागना तो हमें है, कर्म तो हमें करना है. इसको आगे जाते जाते सच्चरित्र में समझाया गया. तो with the command of my master. He is the thought, he is the word, he is the doer, he is the speaker. By his command, I conclude the explanation of Shri Sai Satcharithra Chapter 1. I wish you all a very spiritually fulfilling life, and let's dive deep into the ocean of Shri Satcharithra. It is very beautiful. Let's keep going. Sai.
Thank you, Bhaiya.